Live from Dallas-Fort Worth, this is WFAA News.
Annabelle Rodriguez, Uzi Garcia, Xavier James Lopez, Eva Morales, Eliana Cruz Torres, Rogelio Torres, Nevaeh Bravo, Haley Nicole Silguero, Irma Garcia, Jose Flores, Layla Salazar, Ellie Garcia, JC Luevanos, Jackie Cazares, Amarie Joe Garcia, Tess Mata, Lexi Rubio, Alethe Ramirez, McKenzie Rodriguez, Miranda McKenzie Lee Elrod. 21 names, 21 sons and daughters, sisters and brothers, 21 futures all ended in an instant 1 week ago today. At this last week, they were in their final moments at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. A gunman had just entered the school. Each victim deserves to be remembered for who they were, not just how they died. Over the next half hour, we're going to share each of their names, their dreams, and what their families loved about them to help their memories live on. Today is Amarie Joe Garza's funeral. Her father is a medic and was one of the first responders that day. He says his daughter was trying to call for help when she was shot.
I just want people to know that she just died trying to save her classmates. She just wanted to save everyone. She was the sweetest little girl who did nothing wrong. She listened to her mom and dad. She always brushed her teeth. She was creative. She made things for us. She never got in trouble in school. I just want to know what she did to be a victim.
Her father found out that Amarie Jo died from her best friend. Maite Rodriguez's funeral is this evening. She had big plans for herself. Her mother says she was just so driven. She was definitely special. She was going to be something. She was going to be something very, very special. She was very close to her cousin, who says she knows Maite was brave in her final moments of life.
She looks amazing. She has this pretty white dress. That casket, she looks like nothing happened to her. She looks like she died at peace. We all know the reality.
A heart-wrenching reality.
How do you shoot a little girl, How do you shoot with her beautiful smile? How do you do that to someone?
I'll take you with me.
Destiny Esquivel remembers her 10-year-old cousin, Maite Rodriguez, as a loving and courageous child.
I just know in that moment she was brave. She was telling people where to hide.
She says Maite found joy in green, her favorite color.
Long live Maite.
Also, the girl was already thinking about her future at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi.
That little girl was smart. She wanted to be a marine biologist.
I love you, Maite! Esquivel says she is fighting to stay strong for the rest of her family. And part of that is speaking up to those in power.
I hope the governor, the president, they learn. Because they wouldn't want it to happen to their kids, so why would you let it happen to others?
We learned Maite wanted to be a marine biologist when she grew up. She dreamed of attending Texas A&M University at Corpus Christi. The university found that out and has established a scholarship in her honor. It will go to a student from Uvalde who's pursuing a degree in marine biology. Her mother says she's grateful that Maite's memory will live on through other students. Annabelle Rodriguez and Jackie Cazares were cousins who went to Robb Elementary together. Jackie was just 9 years old. Her father remembers her as a firecracker full of love with a big heart. Her cousin Annabelle was just 10 years old. Her father says she was on the honor roll several times, that she loved school and hated having to miss class. Annabelle's sister was homeschooled, and they loved goofing off together. Her dad says she was also curious and liked to learn about his carpentry business.
Last things I was teaching them was putting the laminate flooring, but I didn't think she'd be gone like that soon. A piece of my life is gone.
The family shared Annabelle loved the family's dog Patrona and wanted to become a vet when she grew up. All grandfathers say their grandkids are the very best around, but Uzi Garcia's grandpa says that's actually true in his case. He says Uzi was the sweetest boy he's ever known. Uzi Garcia's grandpa says he got to spend time playing football with them during spring break last year. He says no matter how many different plays he taught him, Uzi would remember every single one exactly like they practiced. He was just 10 years old when he died. Xavier Lopez, he was also 10 years old when he was killed. His grandmother went to his award ceremony just hours before the shooting. Xavier's cousin lives in Arlington. She remembers him as a 10-year-old boy who just loved life. She says he was bubbly, loved to dance with his brothers and mom, and the tragedy has taken an enormous toll on the entire family. Eva Morales was one of the teachers who spent her final moments with her students at Robb Elementary. She was born in Dallas before moving to South Texas. Morales is remembered for loving all those close to her, from her family to her students. She loved CrossFit, hiking, and spending time with her dog. Her obituary says her smile and personality never went unnoticed because it was never a dull moment when she was around. It goes on to say she was an outstanding wife, mom, daughter, friend, and educator. Eva will forever live on in our hearts and memories. Eva Morales was 44 years old. Irma Garcia also spent her final moments in her classroom. She spent more than 2 decades pouring into young lives at Robb Elementary. In 2019, Garcia was a finalist for a Trinity University prize that recognizes excellence in teaching. When she wasn't teaching, she loved listening to music and grilling out with her husband. Tragically, just days after Irma Garcia was killed, her husband suffered a heart attack and he died. Loved ones say he died from a broken heart. Cynthia Izaguirre shows us their relationship and how their loved ones are coping with their deaths.
Overcome with incomprehensible agony, the children of Joe and Irma Garcia turned to their faith Thursday night for comfort.
I mean, I know the families, so it's difficult.
Father Eduardo and an entire community wrapped their arms around these orphaned children.
Don't let your anger turn into hate, you know, because then you will never celebrate your parents.
Those who knew Irma Garcia call her un amor, a loving woman. Her family says her body was found holding another student, protecting a child who was also killed inside her classroom.
They were good people. They were good church-going people, you know, always willing to help, always looking to see what they could do to be there for the community, not only their children. And I hope that we remember how giving they were, how loving they were.
2 days later, Irma's husband, her high school sweetheart, died of a heart attack. The grief, too much to bear.
And I just couldn't believe it, you know, and I said, this can't be happening. Tell them I'm on my way to the hospital.
4 children, the youngest just 13, are now left without parents, but their pastor and their community are here.
We can move on with our lives, which we probably will, but don't forget to call the children.
Their mother and father will always find a way to take care of them. In Uvalde, I'm Cynthia Izaguirre.
This picture shows Elena Torres doing one of the things she loved most. That's playing softball. People who knew her called her Elijah. Her aunt says she was getting ready for her last game of the season last Tuesday and was hoping to make the All-Star team. Elijah's obituary says she managed to have such a huge impact on so many in the 10 years she was on Earth. It reads, she was a loving and compassionate person who loved to be silly. She had the most beautiful smile and could light up your soul. Eliana was a master of jests and loved making people laugh. At such a young age, she was nurturing and always putting others before herself. Rogelio Torres was also just 10 years old. His family describes him as an outgoing little boy who loved to be outside. He loved playing Pokemon, video games, and tossing around the football. They say he always had a smile on his face and was always eager to help. One of his classmates, Nevaeh Bravo, has a visitation going on in Uvalde as we speak. She'll be laid to rest tomorrow. She leaves behind a large, loving family. Nevaeh was just 10 years old. Another family is mourning the loss of two young children, both killed at Robb Elementary. Jace Luivanos and Haley Silguero were both cousins who went to school together. Haley was just 10 years old. Her mom says she loved to dance and make TikToks. A family friend describes her as an energetic, lovely little girl. Her cousin Jace was also 10 years old. Their cousin says both children were angels and always had a smile on their faces.
There's no words that you can say or comfort anybody.
This was Jose Torres a week ago, just after getting his honor roll certificate at school. He had dreams of becoming a police officer one day. His family says that's because Jose had a passion for protecting others, especially his baby brother, Jace.
He really loved his little brother. He loved him. He was a little helper.
When it was just me and him, I was telling him he's so good, he's helpful, I'll be here around the house. Like, he'll just be like my little shadow, like he'll just be helping me and stuff. Like with the baby, he's there. He had a thing with babies, like my friends' babies there. Like he's just very good with babies. He was always nice.
Let's go, Layla!
You see, that's Layla Salazar, about to win a race at Robb Elementary's field day last month. Her family says she was a huge tomboy who loved to stay active, whether that was running, climbing trees, or swimming in the river. She was also thoughtful. Here's a message she posted on TikTok for her Mother's Day.
I just want to wish all the moms out there happy Mother's Day, even though you're not my mom. And I also wanted to say I hope all the moms out there have an awesome and blessed day.
This was my only princess. She was my everything. We went together everywhere. She was stuck on me like glue. She had her own bedroom. She always laid with me. We did everything together. Everything. We had so much plans for her.
Took her to the park. She liked to feed the ducks.
Yeah, we used to go feed the ducks a lot.
She was so excited about her last few days of school.
Elena Garcia loved cheerleading, basketball, and the movie Encanto. Her family says she dreamed of becoming a teacher one day. Last week, Adriana de Alba sat down with her grandmother to hear more about the special little girl.
The love of a grandma or abuelita is special.
Hi, Grandma, I love you.
And that's why Nelda Lugo feels like her granddaughter Ellie Garcia will walk through the door once again.
Todavía no se siente real. It
No.
still doesn't feel real.
No creo que sea realidad esto.
Her new reality came late Tuesday night. The family learned Ellie was among the 19 children shot and killed at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. She says Ellie was always happy, loved making TikToks, and was excited to turn 10 in less than 2 weeks. She dreamed of one day having a quinceañera.
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué ella?
Why her baby? People in this town are reeling with that same question.
A lot of emotions, anger, frustration.
Lupe Leja's 8-year-old son survived. His classroom on the opposite side of where the shooting happened. His son still doesn't know about the shooting. This dad trying to figure out when or how to tell him that at least 5 of his friends were killed.
Well, only when time comes.
Hearts are broken. This abuela hasn't slept.
No sé si sufrió o murió luego.
She wonders, did her granddaughter suffer in her final moments?
Se me fue.
But tries to remember her sweet Ellie like this.
I love you so much.
A video to her dad filmed before this tragedy unfolded.
When you get out of work, I'll be there for you. I love you, Dad.
In Uvalde, I'm Adriana de Alba.
Family members say 10-year-old Tess Mata had a contagious laugh. She played softball and adored her big sister. Her sister felt the same, posting a message online saying she finds comfort in knowing Tess is waiting for her and her parents up in heaven. Like some of her classmates, Lexi Rubio was honored for her good grades just hours before the shooting last week. Here she is proudly holding her A honor roll certificate. She had dreams of going to St. Mary's on a softball scholarship, traveling and living somewhere where it snowed often. Her family describes her as fierce, beautiful, caring, and giving.
She was my artist. She had a lot of talent.
That's how Alethe Ramirez's grandmother remembers her, as a budding artist with big dreams. She dreamt of going to art school in Paris one day. Alethe is remembered as a smart, talented, reliable, hardworking little girl who was a wonderful role model to her siblings. Miranda Mathis's family says she was a shy tomboy with huge, loving heart. She loved spending time in nature and had a big imagination. Miranda, she was 11 years old. A light to all who knew her, that's how McKenzie Lee Elrod's family is remembering her. She loved softball, gymnastics, dancing, and singing. She also enjoyed being around animals, whether that was spending time on the ranch with her dad or activities with the 4-H club. Her family says she will live on in all of their hearts and all of those who loved her. All 21 victims cherished and missed so dearly. They will not be forgotten. We know as you listen to these stories out of Uvalde, some of you just want to help, and North Texans are stepping up. There are a couple of campaigns you can be a part of to help Uvalde heal with the help of toys. The Denton Spider-Man, personal trainer Jeremy's sons and his wife, who is a teacher, put out the call. They're visiting Uvalde in June and already collected hundreds of toys and other items to give away. Supporters are fulfilling items off their Amazon wish list. They'll drop all of those items off in a couple of weeks. The pastor of New Mount Rose Missionary Baptist Church is also collecting toys and donations for neighbors in Uvalde. Now, if you'd like to help the victims' families, we have a list of resources, including a link to the official memorial fund on our website, WFAA.com, or you can text the word HELP to 214-977-6028, and we'll send a link to your phone. When you look at these faces, it's hard to even begin to think about taking the first steps toward healing. Here's Tiffany Liu.
These are times when it feels impossible to find strength.
The pain will never stop.
In reflection. Because no matter the answers, it can't bring them back.
Some wishes like that we can't wish for.
19 children and 2 teachers were murdered at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde on Tuesday.
We cannot protect them every single minute of the day. You know, it's very hard. It's very hard.
The victims' names are each written on a wooden cross. 21 displayed for the public to flood with candles, flowers, toys, balloons.
We shouldn't have to tell our kids to worry about something like this.
Danny Rangel drove from a neighboring city and walked from cross to cross, finding reflection in the form of prayer.
We're praying for each and every one of y'all. We are praying for your kids, be it a niece, be it a nephew, be it a daughter, be it a son. We're praying.
Whether a comforting melody of united voices or the hands of children coloring light to a darkness laid upon the city. People have their own ways of grieving and supporting and trying to understand why. As much as these 21 shouldn't be another name on the list of mass shooting victims, they are. F.A.O. Bayagbona is too.
Who's gonna be the next person?
Shot 3 times in the 2019 Midland, Odessa mass shooting, he was one of the lucky ones who survived.
It's so crazy. It killed 7 people, injured 21 of us.
F.A. was compelled to drive 3 hours to Uvalde.
My heart is broken. Drove all the way from Austin to just go show my love.
Because in these moments when it feels impossible to find strength, to reflect is to not forget.
We cannot forget them. We can't forget them.
In Uvalde, I'm Tiffany Liu.
Today, we honor those 21 lives who were taken 1 week ago. We are pausing for reflection and remembrance. We hope you'll join us and other organizations for 21 minutes of social media silence at noon to honor those affected by this tragedy. We want to leave you once more with their faces.